Jesse, welcome to the cave.
Thanks for having me, man.
How's life treating you these days?
It's been pretty good. I'm pretty grateful. I've been, working a lot recently, which is good, despite COVID, and so I'm pretty grateful for that.
Yeah. So listeners recently saw you, of course, in that famous scene of Cobra Kai, classic scene as David. That must have been an exciting time for you, and we'll get into that. But let's get to learn a little bit more about you. You grew up in a family, in the entertainment industry. Your father, everybody knows your father, who he is. How did you decide this is what you wanted to get into? Like, was there a certain time in your life that you wanted to follow your father's footsteps?
Uh, Hang on. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay. I got into it, my family never pushed me to be in the industry, but it just kind of fell into it naturally because I was, growing up around sets around my dad. And I just always, whenever I was on a movie set, I always was having a good time. It was always a lot of fun for me. And, I was always helping out on set and stuff like that. And then, I was always in my high school plays and creative arts classes and like film schools and things like that. And every time I would do anything that had to do with film or cinema, it was always fun for me. It never felt like work. And so I feel like that's how I truly knew it was like my destiny. Because when I'm doing it, it doesn't ever feel like work. Even when I'm on set watching, it's just pure fun.
Wow. Well, what set were you first time were you on a set and it drew you even more into it? What was one of the projects your father was working on?
God, what was it? I think it was the one, try to remember. There was a great one I did in that he did in India that was incredible. But I remember he did a movie that was in I think it was called The Gambler, and with Kenny Rogers.
Okay. Yeah.
There's a wrestler, sorry, not a wrestler, a Western. And
Yeah.
I was very young when I was on that. It was just a terrific set. I just remember seeing all the horses and all the cowboys. It was fantastic. A lot of Westerns.
Yeah. But you have brothers and sisters too. Did they get kind of like pushed into this as well? Or was it just you?
I have a sister. She was always around it like I was,
Yeah.
but she didn't really jump into it like I did. This is like my full life. And so, she does love it and enjoys it very much and has done some acting herself. But this is, for me, this is just my passion.
Yeah, that's awesome. Were there any specific like movies and TV shows like growing up also that kind of pushed you into this?
Nothing specific that pushed me into it. I just really all cinema encompassed really my love of filmmaking. All the way from the beginning of filmmaking to now, his really classic movies. All the way up until modern Marvel movies that we have now. That are big entertainment films. I love art pieces. I love movies that entertain. Of course, movies that obviously tell stories and move people.
Yeah.
I just think great cinema has always inspired me.
Yeah. Other than your father, because I'm sure you look up to him in the industry, is there somebody else that you enjoyed their work and you kind of like try to model yourself after as well?
It changes. There's so many great actors. Christian Bale and Russell Crowe and there's so many, like Emily Blunt. There's so many men and women that are incredible. Meryl Streep, that are incredible actors and actresses or actors, whatever you want to say. And I think they're constantly changing their roles all the time and inspiring me as well. So I think people that just are constantly pushing the envelope and doing great work is what inspires me.
Yeah. Now, when you started in the industry, what was like one of the first gigs that you got?
I played I was an extra in one of my dad's movies. I was like this soldier and I remember I came to set and they needed these extras and I was like, you know what, I'll shave my head and I'll be one of these soldiers. And that was like, I must have been like 16.
Wow.
And it was fun.
Yeah. How did that make you feel when you were on set for the first time?
It was fine. I actually think there was more way back when I was younger, but that was one of the I think my first speaking ones, but it was fun. Again, it was like I'd grown up around it so much. So being on set was not new to me. I didn't, jump into it professionally until I was about 18. But, I've always felt very comfortable on movie sets. I really enjoy movie sets. They feel like a second home to me.
So you've done a few projects the last few years. Like, what's been one of your favorites that sticks out to this day the most?
I can't say too much about it, but I'm really, really excited about Recipe for Abduction. That's going to come out in a few months on Lifetime. It's a thriller. It's going to be really, really great. And then one of my past ones that I did, which I loved, was D-Day. That was probably my favorite movie I've made so far. It was just such a blast. You know, the World War II aspect of it. You know, the subject matter of the movie, what it was about, was just right up my alley. And it was just, I also got to make the movie with one of my dearest friends, Weston Cage Coppola, and he was one of the other leads in the films, which was so rare to do a movie with one of your best friends. It was amazing. I highly recommend watching that one. It's really good.
Yeah, where was that filmed, by the way?
So I did a lot of that near like San Diego, and then they did some in Malibu, and then we did some in like some ranch houses, and I forget where they were, but it was a blast. We had such a blast.
How many months did that film take to?
We did that one in about a month.
Okay.
We did that in about a month and shooting. It was really quick. They did it really quick in that. And actually, my dad had a fun little part in that too. He came to set, and I asked them if they could, write a little part, and they did, and it just worked out great.
Oh, that's awesome. Now, you mentioned the Lifetime thriller. I know you can't say much about it, but for like the listeners, the viewers, when can they see that? When can they tune in to see that?
That will probably the next few months, I'd say. I'm actually have to go in, I think, in the end of this month to do some ADR for it. But probably the next few months, I'd say. It'll be out. It'll be really good, really good. And then another movie I did called Max Reload and the Nether Blasters. That's a really fun movie that I think people should check out.
And where's that coming out on?
That just came out. It's with Kevin Smith and Greg Grunberg and Lin Shaye from all the Insidious movies. It's an action gaming science fiction comedy. It's crazy, and you can watch that right now on Amazon. You can stream that on Amazon. It's just a really, really action-packed, fun gaming movie. It's awesome.
Now you mentioned all those people that in that movie, but that's a pretty good lineup right there.
Yeah, the Max Reload.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they had a great cast because the movie's it's such a well done movie directed by Scott Conant and Jeremy Tremp. It's just basically these kids. They have this. They run a gaming store, and I play one of the friends to them, and they end up playing this like game from the '80s, and it ends up the characters from the video game come into real life, and it's like save the planet. It's really funny, and it's just funny.
I'll have to check that out myself.
You'll love it.
So, Cobra Kai, man, how exciting was this for you?
Oh, it was huge, man. I was so thrilled and honored, really. I was so happy to be a part of it. And, to share that experience with my dad was just fantastic, and it was just, for me, it was very personal for me. It was more, very much like a legacy for me. Yeah. And I was very, very excited when that came about. And I was just excited as a fan as well.
You kept it pretty under wraps. I noticed following you on social media and everything. I mean, how hard was it to keep this a secret for so long?
It was really hard, really hard. I basically about a year I had to, I couldn't say anything. And Barrett, who plays the Young Kreese, he and I become good friends, and we chatted about it for, the most part of a year. That we wished that we could say something, and we would talk to each other about it. And yeah, it was definitely difficult because people would ask me all the time if I was going to be a part of it, and I couldn't say anything.
Right. The one question everybody wanted me to ask you, and I kind of wanted to know the answer: how did you not end up playing Young Kreese?
I think they were already casting it. They had already had some people in mind. Maybe, I'm not sure. Yeah. I didn't get a chance to read for it. And Barrett, who got it, is just a great actor. And I mean, look at his hair. His hair is spitting image of my dad's hair. And so, I was so lucky to work with him. I had a great time. And, I think he brings a great aspect to the role that he's created. And I'm very excited that what he's doing with it. So it's fantastic.
Yeah. Now, like growing up, watching the old Karate Kids, like how did that like make you feel, and seeing your father in such a role like that, and now coming back again after so many years?
I love it, man. It's so amazing. Yeah. It's just so fresh and new, and it's never really been done before. So to kind of be on the sidelines of this happening it's really a special treat. And I'm very happy and I'm proud for my dad, and he's working hard. And I think he, William Zabka and Ralph Macchio are like paving this road for other great stories to continue in a similar legacy,
So even like when you were young, like, did you like your friends, like, what did they think about it? Then when they saw your dad, who he was, and then talking to you, and like, what was that all like, the circle of that?
Oh, they, of course, people always asking questions about it, in the industry. It's such an interesting business to talk about. You know, and then they would also get the aspects of him just being my dad and not being John Kreese, you know.
Yeah.
And so, but they were always, you know, throughout my life, people have always been very interested in the Karate Kid stuff and other movies that we've done, and just my whole family in general, just, you know, being in the entertainment business, you know, that's a very interesting life for people to try and, you know, wrap their heads around, you know?
Yeah. Now tell us about that scene. Like, how do you describe that powerful scene, I guess, from, I forget what episode it was.
Two.
Exactly. Episode two.
Episode 2, yeah. Oh, it was amazing, man. You know, just being there on set was such a surreal experience, and, you know, having these conversations with this character playing the younger version of my own dad,
Right.
and which was really, was just so cool, man. It was just so cool, and I wanted to do it justice, and I wanted to make sure it worked out great. And I had to be this total asshole to the younger version of the biggest asshole, somewhat. And it was just, it was just awesome, you know. And then my dad walks in on set, and it was just became this surreal experience, and like life coming full circle. And, you know, Barrett, who played Young Kreese, he was just as thrilled as I was. And, you know, we were bleeding and sweating all day from fighting each other, and we just had a ball, man. We were having such a great day. It was like one of the best days of my life, and I just enjoyed it so much. I know my dad did as well. And, you know, directors kept telling him to get out of the shot because he kept filming on his iPhone. And it was just a great day. It was so fun. It was just really, it was just a treat to be able to show that to the fans as well, that, you know, that aspect of my dad's story.
Like, how do you prep to kick pretty much your old man's butt? You know?
Well, you build a time machine, you go back in time, and you meet Doc along the way. And,
right.
You know, we did a lot of prep beforehand. I'd worked with the stunt team, Hiro Koda, which was great. And Ken Bearfield, who was in the scene with me, he's also on the stunt team. Excuse me. And yeah, we rehearsed the scene. It was fantastic. And, you know, we knocked it out in about 30 minutes the first time I did it, which I was intimidated at first. They told me what they want to do. And then we got into it, and I just picked it up real quickly, which was great. I'm a very physical person. I work out a lot. I go to the gym. So to me, I think I was able to pick it up pretty quickly. And, you know, it was a tough day too. There was a lot going on. It was really hot out. You know, there's a lot to shoot in a small amount of time. It was definitely a tense day, but it was also a lot of fun. People were thrilled to be part of that day. It was the first time they'd done these kind of serious flashbacks in the show. So everybody was really excited about it.
Yeah. How about that big Easter egg of you driving Miyagi's car? We're going to hear anything more about that?
Yeah, that was such a cool surprise, man. I had no idea that was going to happen until the day of.
Yeah.
And then they explained it to me, and I was like, this is crazy. Like, the son of Daniel's sworn enemy is going to be driving this car. Did I get it from Mr. Miyagi? Did I sell it to him later on? Like, what happened with that? That's, you know, a little piece of interesting history we don't know about. Maybe we will. I don't know.
Right.
But it was very cool. You know, I also at the same time, I was really honored to get in that car, because you know, that car had such a I guess a character of its own in the movies, you know, given to him by Mr. Miyagi, and what it meant. And it was incredible. I mean, that little car was like a piece of cinema history. So obviously I treated it like gold, you know, and I took a special video on Instagram I took when I was sitting in the car. And, you know, it was a real special treat. It's as if like you were, you know, sitting in the Millennium Falcon or something like that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, like, obviously we don't know what's going to happen in season 4. If you were a writer, would you write David becoming friends with Kreese in the future?
Actually, yes, I would definitely write that. I originally actually thought that he and I would go to war together and we'd become buddies.
Yeah.
I think that's what I thought would happen. But, you know, story-wise, they had to change it. But I think, you know, which worked out fine. But I definitely would include that. It would be great.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned, like, the character you play, you know, he's pretty much, like, excuse my language, an asshole, right? Like, how is it compared to, like, a real life? Like, is it tough for you to play a bad guy like that?
I love playing the villains. Like I said, I think it runs in the family, but also there's a sense of freedom that you have when you play a villain, because you're not held in by these, you know, like these lanes. You can go outside of them if you want to. And I really enjoy that aspect of playing, you know, those characters. Yeah. And I also enjoy playing like the hero as well, or any character really. But I think especially with villains, you can really go outside your bounds and kind of take it to where you want to go. But, you know, I consider myself a nice guy in real life, but I definitely enjoy having the freedom to do those things.
Yeah. You mentioned like the villain, like your dad does a great job playing the villain. And if people have, I've met your father a few years ago. My wife was pregnant with my son. And it's like total
Oh, okay.
opposite. He's asking my wife, how you feeling, all that stuff. And my wife's like, he's nothing like his character. I was like, of course he's nothing like his character. He was acting in those movies all those times. But it's like, some people are just like, they're kind of like their characters, even, in real life, the way they portray
For sure.
people.
For sure. I mean, I think some people get locked into these characters. I don't know how
Yeah.
healthy that is for some people to be fully,
Yeah.
living in those shoes. But, I think that some of these characters are a lot of characters that are iconic or are brought on because there's a little bit of them in those characters that they bring to
Yeah.
those characters to life, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And when it works, it's really great. When you look at like Heath Ledger and the Joker and things like that. Like I think there's a bit of Heath. There's really a bit of Heath in that character, and
Oh, definitely.
even Christian Bale and other characters is a bit of him as well. And any of these, like Clint Eastwood, like Clint is the guy, in those Western movies. He's definitely part of those characters.
Now you mentioned, I asked you earlier about if you think we're going to see like your character again. What else would you want your character, if you have another opportunity to bring him back? What else would you like him to do?
I guess it would be more so flashback sequences of, either friendship or, continued bullying to some degree that causes the character shift. Maybe a continued rivalry throughout, without the dojos, in a sense, maybe just, life, high school bullying, college bullying, things like that. It would be interesting to see that, the push and the pull with that. And then maybe, who knows, maybe I become friends and, see what happens. But it would be great.
Yeah. You mentioned dojos. Now we got 3 dojos. Which one is your favorite?
Oh, I'm Cobra Kai for life. It's
For
my
life.
blood, my everything. But I do believe it's important to have a balance, and I think that if you have a little bit of Eagle Fang, a little bit of Cobra Kai, a little bit of Miyagi-Do, I think you're just perfect.
Yeah. Favorite character in the movies and then favorite character now in the series?
I would definitely have to go for, in the original movie, my dad plays such an asshole and such a villain. I did not like him, obviously, as the character in those movies, and I was rooting for Daniel when I first saw those movies, and of course, Mr. Miyagi. So Daniel for sure in the original movies, and then I guess in Cobra Kai, I think Hawk. Hawk is one of my favorite characters. He's
I think
just
a lot of people are saying that.
Back and forth with, like the nerd or whatever that he was, and then becomes a really intimidating guy, and I just love his whole arc of where he came from.
Yeah. If you could play one character that's on the show now, who would it be?
Probably, I love all the stuff that Robbie goes through. He's in Miyagi-Do, and then he's on his own, and then he's in Cobra Kai, and he kind of gets to dance around everything, which I think is really great. And then he's dealing with Daniel and Johnny and my dad, so he's kind of like in the middle of everything. And I think that's a great. There's a lot of show, and there's a lot to do with that. So he's Tanner Buchanan does a great job playing Robbie.
Yeah, I had him on my show a couple last year, and it was just really nice guy.
Oh yeah, he's awesome. He's just awesome.
So now for like the Cobra Kai fans, what's something you would want to tell them from like all this reaction, like you've been getting pretty much since the episode 2? What is something you want to tell them?
To the fans?
Yeah.
Oh, just their support is unbelievable. I mean, my family, we love communicating with them, and we love reaching out to the fans and hearing their support and love for the show and the characters. I mean, without them, we wouldn't be able to do any of this. So we just love their support so much. It means the world to us. And I can't, thank you guys enough for all the love I've been getting. And, it just goes to show you how much this show means to people. And I'm so honored and humbled by all the love and support that's come my way. And also from my dad as well.
Now, you mentioned a couple of projects coming out. Is there anything else that's coming out that you could tell the listeners that you've maybe filmed before the pandemic also?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, there was a Christmas movie that I did that I really enjoyed called Christmas on the Menu. That was on Lifetime as well. There's another film I'm doing in a romantic comedy that I'm going in for, that I'm starring in the next month or so. Shooting that in Nevada, which will be really fun. I haven't done a lot of romantic comedy, so I'm excited about that. And then also a couple other projects I can't really get into too much, but there's really good stuff in the works. And then I mentioned Max Reload, which is great, and I think that's about it for right now.
Yeah. Lastly, how can the listeners and the viewers find you on social media?
I'm very active on my Twitter and my Instagram, which is Jesse Kove, JesseKove. Love hearing from you guys. Like, comment my stuff. I love sharing my part of my life with you guys. So, I'm super reachable on there.
All right, Jesse, thank you for coming on. This was fun.
Oh, dude, this was great. Thank you so much.